Thank you for coming. We're obviously here to talk about the incident on Sullivan's Island last Thursday night. It is an ongoing investigation. Interviews are still being conducted with witnesses, so we are not able to talk about the investigation. We can tell you additional charges may be added. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Carl Ritchie.
I think it's still good morning, but good morning. I appreciate everybody being here. For my part, I just want to say how important it is to have these kind of coordination and collaborations we have with all of our agencies. Charleston County Sheriff's Office are fortunate enough to have these type of assets that are available to all of our agencies here in the Low Country and the Tri-County area, quite frankly. If someone needs assistance, we're there. That particular afternoon when this incident was going on, one of the first phone calls, as I'm hearing on the radio, was to the chief, Chief Meadows. Picked up the phone, called him, said, "Chief, what do you need? Whatever it is, it's on the way. We'll make sure you have every asset available that we have will be available to you." And he'd already had a command post set up. We responded to that area. It did take a little while, though, to get the helicopter there. As y'all remember, the VP was visiting. So we were tasked supporting that mission as well. So once that mission was complete, we were able to divert and come over to the islands, where one of his officers paired up with our tactical flight officer and our pilot to start doing the searching. We thought it was important to include the Sullivan's Island officer who knew the island, who could tell us some of the different areas that we may not be familiar with or some areas we should search. And I think we know the successful outcome after that. It's just so important too, the relationships that law enforcement and all of our first responders have here in the Low Country. Not the first time I've spoken with Chief Meadows during this incident. Wasn't the first time that we, as a group of law enforcement leaders, had worked together or knew each other. So having those relationships, it was seamless, where we could come in, do the work we needed to ensure that we first we located this person, and we made sure he wasn't out harming anyone else. So that's really what, from my part, from Charleston County Sheriff's Office. I know you want to hear more from Chief Meadows, my pilots, but I just want to reaffirm that we have the assets. We're here to serve the Charleston County residents. We're using it for the reasons we purchased it for, and that's to save lives, and that's to bring those who are trying to harm us to justice, and supporting all of our agencies, no matter what size they are. We will go anywhere, anytime to assist other law enforcement agencies. So to either turn it back over to Mark or to Chief Meadows. Mark, so Chief, come up.
Well, thank you for being here. I also want to thank Sheriff Ritchie. You know, he spoke about the partnership that made the unfortunate events of Thursday very successful, and that partnership proved to be so valuable. I want the community to know and the media to know that as a small police department, we rely on that type of partnership. And it wasn't just a partnership with Sheriff Ritchie, it was a partnership with 22 other agencies that rapidly assembled to assist us with what was a very tragic and very unfortunate crime. And for that, we're grateful. The helicopter that Sheriff Ritchie provided, along with the helicopters from SLED, but particularly the Charleston County Sheriff's Department Aviation helicopter, proved to be a very valuable asset last Thursday. We were able to put one of our sergeants, Sergeant Elias Schaefer, in the helicopter as a spotter. He had, familiarity with the island, and that was a request of Sheriff Ritchie that we put somebody up. And within moments of getting airborne, Sergeant Schaefer and then one of the Charleston County Sheriff's Office lieutenants who served as a flight operations officer observed the suspect in the boat. So, that brought that terrible event to a successful and safe end. The partnerships that we've talked about, and the collaboration and the cooperation, that's how the Low Country police departments and law enforcement agencies work. We support each other in times of need. Thursday showed the community just how much that support was, how great it was, and it proved that working together, we're able to solve these problems. So I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you. Oh, you did have a question.
I've got lots of questions if you have time.
Okay, sure.
So talk to me about the time that it took from the moment that the helicopter went up to when you located this suspect.
It was just a matter of minutes, absolute matter of minutes. They were hovering in the area, and the Sergeant Schaefer, suggested to the pilot and to the operations officer that they circle back and check some of the other houses in the marsh areas, and within moments they had both spotted the suspect in the boat.
I know it's an ongoing investigation, so talk to me about the training that goes into an operation like this. It doesn't happen every day. What immediately goes into place when something like this does happen?
So what you saw on Thursday was what we call unified command, and that's where we establish a command post and multiple agencies come together. And the beauty of that is that it's not one person trying to remember everything that needs to be done. That's a very stressful, very emotional event when we have a crime like that. So what I had was a command post full of very smart people with years and years of experience, standing to my left and standing to my right, coming up with ideas. Should we do this? Can we do this? Why haven't we done this? It really took a tremendous burden off of me as the chief of the Sullivan Island Police Department, knowing that I had people like Sheriff Ritchie and Chief Cornett from Isle of Palms, Chief Arnold from Mount Pleasant, the FBI, and all the other federal agencies, had them by my side, helping me make decisions and decide what needed to be done.
From a community safety standpoint, what does it mean to have a tool like this at your disposal?
Oh, this tool, Thursday, it paid for itself. I told Sheriff Ritchie that day that the helicopter paid for itself on Thursday once they located the suspect. As a small department, we'll never be able to afford something like this, and through mutual aid and through the gracious offer of Sheriff Ritchie, we were able to utilize that. There was no hesitation on Sheriff Ritchie's part. There was no hesitation on any of the other police leaders and federal law enforcement leaders to come assist us. I did not have to make a single phone call for mutual aid assistance. They all came to us.
Is this one of the first missions this helicopter has been on?
I'm not in a position to answer that. Sheriff Ritchie would be the better source for that.
How soon into understanding the situation was there the decision to deploy the helicopter?
We requested the helicopters within minutes, along with K-9 teams and drones. Sheriff Ritchie, they were tied up with the Vice President's visit, but as soon as that visit was over, he was on scene. His helicopter was on scene, and he was personally on scene and stayed there until the arrest was made, and we finalized everything.
Now I'm going to introduce the flight crew.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Alex Fulford. This is Lieutenant Sean James. Will you get closer?
Closer, and if y'all can stand on either side of the mic, so we can get you both when you guys are speaking.
Okay.
If you could say and spell your first and last names and your ranks.
Lieutenant Alex Fulford, ALEX, FULFORD.
Lieutenant Sean James, SHAWN, last name James, JAMES.
So, you guys got the call. What was the first thing going through your head? You knew what the situation was. What were your first thoughts?
Which one?
Well, the first thing was trying to figure out last direction, and of course what we've checked and what has already been checked, and of course what we want to check. So one of the first things we did, we tried to go to an area that we knew that we had some marshland across the way, and we checked the marshland. And then of course Lieutenant Fulford said, look, next thing we need to do is let's start checking boats, start checking docks, and of course that's where we went. And we also were checking dumpsters, and I'll let Lieutenant Fulford take it from there.
Yeah. When we first got down there, this had been developed for several hours because of the vice presidential detail. So we got a full tank of gas. He was already down there, Lieutenant James, working at the Unified Command Center, so he had a pretty good idea of what was going on. We got him, and additionally, Sergeant Schaefer was able to hop into the back seat as well. And we initially focused towards the ocean because that's what was reported as far as the location. And Lieutenant James says, he has not been spotted in several hours. It's probably a pretty good idea that he is hunkered down pretty close. And between the three of us in the aircraft, we decided to do a grid pattern down Jasper Boulevard, first down the front of the houses and then back up the rear of the houses, at which point in time, about 15 minutes after we launched is when we actually picked up sight of him.
I heard one of the first things you saw was a ripped boat cover. Is that right?
Well, yeah, going house to house. I mean, the helicopter, it has some amazing systems in there to include overlay of streets and house numbers. And so we're able to say, hey, have you checked this house? Have you checked that house? At the point, we checked the house one to the south. He was checking out the boat launches there. We're going up front and said, hey, the next boathouse up, it looks like a blue awning. I got a ripped cover. Why don't we check inside there? And between the three of us, we noticed that there was red fabric visible underneath the ripped area. As soon as he got the sensors onto that, and he was able to pick out, okay, that's not just fabric, that's an elbow as well. Started coordinating the nearest ground units to come actually rendezvous, at which point in time they took custody of the suspect.
Can you tell me about that camera? We all saw the video of him being captured.
Yeah, it's fantastic, fantastic camera. This is only the first helicopter law enforcement that has this system on there. It's created by Shotover out of New Zealand, and they have a company in Colorado as well. And it's phenomenal. 360-degree field of view. We're picking up license plates and reading them from miles away. So it is very, very capable. And he's able to use not only direct view optics, which is the camera itself, it also has FLIR, so he's able to switch over to see and differentiate body heat. And he even has an integrated laser pointer for nighttime operations. So with that system, he was able to pick up and literally zoom in, as you saw, on an elbow. You see in the fingers as a guy grabbed the cover to try to pull it back over on top of him. So it was pretty quick.
It's amazing that with this brand new helicopter, with this new technology, just a couple years ago with the old helicopter, y'all wouldn't have had this type of camera technology, correct? How, and if not, how did that assist you in catching him besides?
We're very, very fortunate. Yeah, we're fortunate to have this system. It really is brand new right off the shelf. Very appreciative of it, and it is a good asset and a good tool to have. And it's important to note, as Sheriff Ritchie stated, it's not just for Charleston County Sheriff's Office. We're to be used in conjunction with local, state, even federal level agencies, which we've done routinely and numerous times since we've gotten the helicopter in November.
Where else has this technology worked to keep our community safe, and where do you see it being used in the future?
Sure. Talking about some of the local assets and missions we've used it on, Berkeley County has needed assistance maybe with serving warrants. Dorchester County with chasing down a suspect. And just to be able to launch, quickly switch over and communicate with them. We have dedicated tactical flight officers in the aircraft, not just from the Sheriff's Office, but also from the local agencies. And because of that, and that cross-pollination, so to speak, we're able to very easily and quickly speak to people we know who know the area very well and who are able to utilize it seamlessly.
Can you share with us some of the training that goes into your aviation expertise that assists in these
Sure.
missions?
Yes, a lot of the training comes from Shotover, so they actually come down for a 3-day class, and I teach about the camera. But a lot of times, like anything else, you can teach all you want in a classroom, but being able to utilize it hands-on is where you're going to get your effective practice. And so we've been to classes all the way to Orlando, teaching everything about how to deal with a scene, all the way to just learning the system in the helicopter. And again, this system compared to the last system we had is like looking at a camera that is almost like a black and white TV compared to an HD TV. It literally changed the game. And of course, that's not only helping us, but of course, it's going to help the community out as well.
How long have you had access to this new technology?
The helicopter itself rolled off the line in May. Bell made it. It was sent to Tennessee, and they outfitted it specifically for law enforcement. We received it and did internal training up until January, at which point in time we started doing operations in the local area.
Two of you guys, how much experience, how many years experience and training do you guys have flying?
Oh goodness, I went through flight school in '94, so 31 years or so.
As a tactical flight officer, I've been doing it for 6 years.
And it's important to note, as amazing as a helicopter is, it is a tool. And when we showed up at the end game of that mission. You already had K9 on the ground, you had SWAT, you had HSI, we had maritime, we had airboats in the water. So we're showing up to a developed situation, and we're inserted, which made it that much easier for us to actually do that.
I know this might just be another day for you guys, but it was such a breath of relief for the
I mean, the first thing, of course, is relief, right? When you take someone as dangerous as this guy was, and then the next thing that goes through your mind, of course, is safety, right? How do we take him into custody safely and make sure that no one's injured? And then, of course, after that is elation, right? I mean, how can you not be excited about finding somebody and being able to capture him before something else may have happened? Does he get in another car and do the same thing? I mean, when you start taking a vehicle and aiming it not only at people, but children, finding him and capturing him, elation, excitement.
Can we take this guy real quick? I know they're recording. I just want to get the video of the